the important thing I believe about limiting beliefs is, okay, they're there. I don't even care if to let them go, but I care about, let me acknowledge them. Let me get curious about them. Let me see why they're them. And, going back to my vision, I'm committed to creating what I'm committed to creating. Are my limiting beliefs helping me or not? And they're not.
Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Goddess, where brilliant women come to take a break from their successful and sometimes overwhelming lives to level up, live free, and create abundance.
If your hectic life has you feeling a bit lost, if you're building your career, brand, or business, or if you simply want to get the most out of life, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Julietta Wenzel, founder of Body and Soul PT and Soul Candy.
And I'm your co-host, Graciela Laurent, professional portrait photographer specializing in boudoir and personal branding.
Whether you're relaxing with a cup of coffee or running around town, we've got you.
Whatever you're doing, thanks for bringing us along and sharing a laugh.
Here comes the magic.
Hey!
It's time for another one.
It is. I almost jumped the gun there, although so there's going to be probably a big screen of me with my mouth open pre-hay, but
don't you love when videos freeze at this random spot and it happens to be the one I'm ready for?
I've seen some really good ones from time to time.
This is why whenever I'm listening, I always try and put a smiling face. I mean, number one, I'm always overthinking about what the speaker is feeling, but because this happens to me in conferences too, but I'm always I know someone's going to take a random picture of me and it's going to be the one where my mouth is hanging open. I just know it. These things happen. Anyway, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I hear you've had some interesting photo shoots recently.
Oh my gosh. So, it's always an adventure, right? I'm always shooting branding. I'm always shooting boudoir, etc. And I was thinking on the drive in this morning, I'm the last couple of guys that I've had for boudoir shoots. So let me set the scene, right? So in my space, I have couches. It doesn't look like a photo studio. It just looks like a really pretty swanky apartment, right? And in one corner, I have a Murphy bed because I don't want to display a bed, like a real bed, right, the whole time. So I have a nice little fold up, and that way I get to use it for other types of shoots. It just looks like this innocuous piece of furniture, whatever. So it's very delicate. So when it's time for a boudoir shoot, I open it up, it's like a trifold kind of thing and whatever. It's very elegant, very nice. But every time I have a guy come in for a boudoir shoot, he takes a running leap and jumps on the bed. And I'm like, but no, it's delicate. Why would they run? But of course, I don't want to kill the vibe. So I'm thinking to myself, I hope that was fun for you because I just had a panic attack. But isn't that interesting? Women never do that ever. Women, non-binary folks, they come in, they sit quietly, they're chill. Men are it's like a trampoline or a bed, woohoo! And then they just take this giant leap onto the bed, shoulder first. I don't know.
And I don't know. I feel like all modern furniture is fragile. They don't make furniture the way they used to make it. So I used to love jumping on my bed as a kid. And now, well, besides the fact that I'm a full-grown adult now instead of but I would never think of jumping on. I would be afraid that the bed is going to break if I'm jumping.
Exactly. As is, I worry about just sleeping on it. I'm my bed frame itself. Oh my God, I'm going to out myself here. My mattress is new. I replaced my mattress, but my bed frame itself is literally the first bed I ever got as an adult. I've taken it with me everywhere we've moved. And so I got that bed frame maybe when I was 21 and I just turned 49. Props to Broyhill. And the other day, it's funny because I was watching a rerun of Everybody Loves Raymond and they have the same bed. And I'm like, oh my God, that's how old my bed is.
That's funny.
So maybe next time I leave it behind.
I love that. I appreciate furniture that lasts. I mean, I bought my house, I think it's 4 years ago now, something like that. And I got a few new pieces of furniture when I moved in. Well, one, the cat destroyed. Like it's bulk trash day on Wednesday, so it is going out. Decluttering to tell the universe I'm making space for a new chair that isn't shredded to pieces.
Beautiful.
And the sofa that I have is like, it's okay, but I can see by the wear and tear, like, this is not going to be a piece of furniture that like gets passed on to other people or anything, because it's not gonna last.
It's modern furniture. I will tell you that when I was in my 20s, well, first when I was in high school, my my high school French teacher convinced me that you would have quote unquote made it in life if you ever got a chance to purchase Ethan Allen furniture. I don't know why, that's what she liked, and for some reason of all the lessons ever taught to me in as a teenager, that one really stuck with me. So needless to say, as soon as I got married and got my house, the first thing I did was go and get myself a piece of Ethan Allen furniture so I could feel like a real grown up. And again, I bought that like at 21. I will tell you, I'm 49 and I still have bookcases, an armoire, like coffee tables, and they're pristine. They're in great condition, you know? So, you know, kudos to old furniture. I might have to get one of those vintage pieces for the studio if I shoot any more men, though.
Right?
All right, that's my segue. Speaking of men we love to have in the studio.
Right?
Yes. Let's bring on our guest.
We are doing it.
Good
Hello,
morning.
Ivan.
Good morning. How are you?
We are
Good.
excited to have you here.
Very exciting.
You know, we miss you here in Fort Lauderdale.
I know. Me too. I miss you guys.
So we know who you are, but our audience might not. So we'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell them how amazing and wonderful you are.
Okay.
And tell them why it's Ivan and not Ivan.
Okay, so well, let's start with the name. I'm Italian, like Italian from Italy, not from New Jersey, as I say. So my name is Ivan, but it's very difficult for English speakers. So I go with the Spanish version, Ivan. It's not Ivan, although sometimes my client call me Ivan the Terrible, Ivan the Greatest, depending on the experience, I guess.
Right.
But who I am is a man in service to others. And the way I do that is through physical therapy. I worked with Julietta, actually Julietta is my physical therapy mentor. That's how I usually think about her, besides being a very good friend and sister. And anyway, I do that through physical therapy, through being a life coach, specifically about relationship and results coaching. And I'm a transformational trainer with a vision to create love and connection around the world in my lifetime. So, I try to bring that connection, that love in anything that I do. And speaking about that, I see that because I did a boudoir session with Graciela.
Woo-woo.
I think that was 2019. Yes, it was 2019 October.
Pre-pandemic. Yeah.
And the space that you create allows men, and I'm sure women too, to grasp that childlike wonder that wants them to leave all the mental cluttering outside your studio and then jump into that couch and
then
bed.
jump on the bed, yeah.
Yeah, because you create such a beautiful space when you do your sessions, that it's a beautiful way, not just to take a picture, but to let go of everything and
Thank you.
be present.
Thank you. And you did such a good job being present. You did such a great job at your shoot. We had so much fun that day. That was really good. I still show your pictures. If anyone out there is totally interested, you really should jump into my website and you can dig around and you will find Yvonne's photo shoot there. So Yvonne, give me in your I know I love the way how you explained all the different ways that you are about supporting others. Give me one of your success stories. Like, what is, what's an example that keeps you so passionate about what you're doing?
I was coaching a lady that became friend, like most times, and this person had, let's say, a difficult experience about even committing to something. Like even just the word of commitment was screaming inside her. She was get like frustrated, anger, all of this stuff. And I worked with her for a few weeks, not even that much, for just a month. And I got um, a little card, handwritten card, and it was so beautiful. Like, thank you for holding the space for me to uncover what I really want, uncover what I didn't know. And now commitment is not like a big word that doesn't come out of my mouth. It's something that I'm looking forward to. I actually have it here on my desk. I didn't even know you were gonna ask that question, but I have her card here on my desk, and it's such a beautiful reminder of possibilities. And yes.
That's beautiful. I always keep all my clients' thank you cards in a little special spot. And when I was back in the legal field, I had to keep a clean desk. So I would have a little folder, and I called it the folder of honor. And every time I would get a little card from a client, I would put it there. And, on those days when like I needed a reminder, I'm like, hold on, let me just go read. And then I read through it again and I'm like, okay, yep, I remember. I got this. Do you have something like that, Julietta?
I do not. I mean, when we had, the big clinic, we worked with a lot of children, and a lot of times the families would gift us photos of the kids. And so we had a big bulletin board with all of the kids' pictures, and some of them came with thank you notes. But I now live in the age of declutter, get rid of, and so a lot of that stuff, I'm sorry, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I'll keep it for a little while. I'll read it several times and really let it sink in and appreciate it. And then it's time to allow it to move on, to make space for a new piece of gratitude.
There you go.
So I'm very curious what the answer is going to be to our next question. But what limiting belief did you have to let go of to arrive at where you are today, Ivan?
So the main one for me is fear of being judged. Fear of being judged because I have an accent. Fear of being judged for anything, not being good enough. And I did a lot of personal development trainings. I became a trainer for that. One of the fear is grabbing the mic and being live on YouTube. And the important thing I believe about limiting beliefs is, okay, they're there. I don't even care if to let them go, but I care about, let me acknowledge them. Let me get curious about them. Let me see why they're there. And, going back to my vision, I'm committed to creating what I'm committed to creating. Are my limiting beliefs helping me or not? And they're not. So I'm going to go against them. I'm going to say, okay, you're there. Great. I'm going to love you for what you are and stay there because I'm going to do whatever I want anyway. So that doesn't mean that, it's just like that. But it's important, in my opinion, to acknowledge them. It's important to break through them in a way of not putting them inside a closet and leave them there because they're not going to go away.
One time I saw someone talk about anxiety, like of a little buddy that's always with you and that doesn't leave. And it was like, okay, we're going to go to this event now. And I know you're going to come with me, anxiety. So you're going to have to sit here in the passenger seat and, put your seatbelt on, but I'm driving. I'm going to get us there and I'm in charge. Like, I know you want to be there and that's fine. I know you have to be there. I acknowledge you, but you're not in charge. I'm in charge, And that reminded me a little bit there of what you're saying. Like, okay, we have this limiting belief, right? And definitely, I think everybody can relate, right, with fear of being judged. And by the way, side note, the accent, like that's literally one of the hottest things like anybody ever has. I'm sorry.
My rationality comes back, when my limiting belief in my one of my ears says, hey, your accent, you're not spelling the words, you're going too fast. And then my rationality, well, go slowly. And it's sexy because most people told you that. So go with it.
It's your decision, right? You just choose to believe it. I try and remind, because I have a lot of clients from a lot of different countries, and we all apologize to each other for our accents. We always do. When I speak Spanish, I apologize for messing up words. When they speak English, they apologize. And I'm like, like, we're speaking multiple languages. Like, I think we're winning, accent or no accent, right? Like, this
We're
is a sign of
communicating.
someone who's trying something incredibly difficult, right? Like, speaking a second language is a whole thing, So anyway, so kudos to you for making a whole life in another language. You are far more braver, I think, than I ever could be.
Thank you. I'm a crazy person in certain ways.
Enthusiastic. So one of my favorite questions is, we're trying to build a library of amazing books, where we get to just have resources for all of our listeners. What is a book that you think everyone should read, and why?
So I have to.
Of
Of course
course.
I do. I listened to your podcast and I heard so many titles, and I'm like, let's go back to the 101. Let's go back to what I think are really the one that everybody should read or listen to. One is the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, Deepak Chopra. It's 100 pages. It's
Oh,
an
easy.
hour and a half audible. It's like the one of loving yourself.
Could you
And
repeat it one more time for me?
Seven Spiritual Law of Success by Deepak Chopra. And the other one is The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And I feel like, especially in my field, life coaching, relationship coaching, it's so important to know, how do I love you? Because the way I love you is different the way I love Julietta. It's different the way I love my wife, my mom, anybody. And there's actually a test, like literally Google five love languages test, and you find the way, a test for uh, the way that people can love you, a test for um, say sorry, a test for apologizing. Uh, it's so insightful. And because I have many people I know and clients that, yeah, but I do this and she doesn't respond. Well, yes. Is this the way that's effective for her or for him? So
So
this is a great
what's your love
book.
language?
Uh, it's love, words of affirmations. Always, tell me I'm good, tell me I'm awesome, tell me my accent is sexy, and I'm good with it.
Perfect. See, it's so much easier when you know, right? Like, mine is acts of service. I would much rather you take my car and go fill it up with gas than get me like a piece of jewelry. Truly. Like, if I never had to put gas in the car ever again, that would be equal to like a diamond necklace. Like, that's how it's.
Yeah, I will definitely say gifts is like on the bottom of my
Same.
Because the thing is that, like, you might have one primary love language, but I think, and for me, it's really difficult to just pick one. I love acts of service, yes, but as a physical therapist, I'm also a touchy-feely person. I want as many hugs as I can get, and like when people give you like that half hug, like, come on, like, surrender to
like
the hug already.
It's like the limp handshake.
Surrender. But and then there's quality time.
I do. I think my top three are like 25%, 27%, 26%. Like, they're almost all tied. And and I love gifts, don't get me wrong, I do, but definitely that's towards the bottom. Yeah.
I think in my decluttering phase, like, that has pushed gifts way down. And this is something that I'm getting over it. But I used to, like, if someone gifted me something and then you don't really like it, and then you feel all this torture. Someone recently was telling me about someone had re-gifted them the gift that they had given to that person.
Oh,
Like,
no.
they had given it to them like a couple years before, and just had totally forgotten that this person that they were regifting it to was the person that gave it to.
Whoops.
I feel like everybody should have a wish list. We can pick from it.
Honestly, I would like, to me, a beautiful handwritten letter. Like, I wrote my friend a letter years ago. And I mean, this has got to be like 20 years old. And I just wrote him a letter telling him how much I loved him and appreciated him. And I could never give him anything better than that, right? Like, there's no bottle of wine or anything that's better than that, because it's your heart, it's your words, it's your thought. More importantly, it's your time. That's how I see it, right? Like, I don't need another $25 to Starbucks. Like, I love it, I appreciate it, I have fun with it, I make good with it. But honestly, just knowing that you thought about me, like, that's even more valuable. So, well, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I love your TED Talks.
What's next on our list, Julietta?
So, we talk about this on so many levels, but that everything in life is cyclical, and it's not like you do something and then you're done with it. Like, things need to be revisited, and we learn and we grow, and we're constantly evolving. So, like, Ivan he's had a lot of gifts within him that over how long have we known each other? 10 years, 12 years?
2009, so it's 14 years.
Wow.
Just a little bit.
I mean, this is a person that I have seen evolve, and it's been beautiful. But what we want to know is, what's the next thing inside you, that gift that's waiting to come out to the universe, and what has gotten in the way of it already coming out?
When we met, I didn't even know I was actually going to be in the United States when I first met Julietta. So in the past 14 years, I've gone through moving to a different country, studying in a different country, and then I did personal development. So I was always adding. And right now I find myself into experiencing the present. Sometimes it feels something that you shouldn't do, because you should be thinking, in quotes, obviously, about making money, because money, that's what society wants you to make. I'm like, you know what? Let me step back. Let me be present to the present. Let me experience my wife. Let me experience my friends. Let me experience my cats. Like, this is what I'm up to it now in my personal life, that I feel is due. Like, it's probably like 10 years due. So yeah,
I think it makes total sense. Like, being present is your next level, right? Because we are always constantly looking for what's the next thing. And actually, I'm curious to ask you a little bonus question. I always used to think that wanting more and wanting to do more and be really busy was like an American concept. Do you think, being born in Italy and lived your life there and whatnot, do Italians have I mean, I listen, I hereby recognize the Renaissance, and all of the amazing thinking that has happened in Italy. But do you feel that in Italy it's easier to be present, and is the rush a little bit more American, or am I just making that up?
I think that in a way it is. I something that European. I'm generalizing to European, because
Sure.
definitely Spain has the siesta. Everybody knows this about the siesta. In Italy we do 8 a.m. to 12 lunch break. Like a lunch break, you go home, you have lunch, you rest, and then usually 2 to 6. Here is rush, everything.
Wow. I can't even imagine.
It's a different way to approach life, in my opinion. It's let me work because I need the money to eat. Let me not live to work. Such a settle, but so much difference in there. It's completely different context.
Yeah.
One is let me live to work, one let me live to live. And work is a way for me to have things I want.
I've always wondered if it's because the United States is such a young country. Like it wasn't that long ago that we were literally like putting up fences and, you know, just the hustle of keeping this idea of a country to turn it into a real country. Whereas in Europe, all of these countries have been around for thousands of years. So like you guys are more grown up than we are. That's kind of like, I don't know, that's always been my theory of why we're still in the rush because we're still like babies as a country. I don't know. What do you think, Julietta?
That's an interesting thought, but then also I guess I would just say history is different in Europe versus here, and then it only takes some like heading on over to Egypt and seeing a whole new level of history. And I guess the history in the US is different than the history that's and it's fun now. I'm watching I've told you I'm addicted to Gaia TV and watching all these ancient civilizations, and you go from understanding that humanity has existed for 10, 20, 30,000 years to now saying it's existed for 300,000 years. And I don't know about your theory.
I don't know. So you're saying that 30,000 years, 300,000 years ago, people were probably in a rush too?
I don't know, and
probably, right? There was probably some guy going, guys, I'm telling you, if we just slow down for a minute, right?
Well, and see, it takes somebody like you, like a leader, and say, okay, I don't want to be in a rush, and I'm not going to. Boom. Break the cycle.
That's my kryptonite, Ivan. Just so you know, that is my kryptonite.
Well, and that was the big, one of the big things of me making the choice to work by myself. I had a great time. I had amazing employees like Ivan, but all of that just it was like constant go, 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 do. And now sometimes I do take 2-hour lunches, and some days it's like, oh, there's nobody booked then. Let me just block off that time and just do a half day today and enjoy. And I laugh because a lot of times on not the big holidays, but President's Day and whatever, days that everybody else takes off, I work, and people are like, why are you working today? And it's like, because I can take off any day I feel like.
There you go. There you go.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Look at all the good, juicy things coming out of this. Ivan, I want to ask you our last question, which I think is always the, juiciest question. Our mission, we want to help women and men, right, to just uncover their own magic. I always say that everything you need is already inside of you. And we want them to be free to live authentically. So what is a parting thought you would like to gift our listeners? What would you want everyone to know?
I started with the very first question that you guys asked me, introducing myself, and I gave you my vision. And I based everything I do multiple times a day, every single minute, every single choice I make based on that vision. And I'm human. We fall into comfort. But if it's one thing, create your own vision, and make that the most important thing in your life.
Your North Star.
It's such a simple yet a little bit difficult thing to do, but it frees my soul, not physically, but it frees me so much because I'm able to experience the experiences I want to experience. It gives power.
Indeed.
And that's what I want for all the goddesses.
That's beautiful. I love seeing you living so intentionally. I'm so happy for you.
Well, you both have been a very beautiful part of my growth, so thank you. I need to come down and have a dinner with you too.
For real. This interview needs to end in a hug. Well, we've loved having you on, and I know our listeners are going to absolutely love this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I guess this show is a wrap.
Bye.
That's it, guys. Take care. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today and keeping us in the top 10% of podcasts in the world.
Ask us how you can promote your business on this podcast as a sponsor, and make sure you check out the show notes for details on how to get in touch with Julietta, Graciela, or today's special guest.
We're sending you lots of love and gratitude. Have a magical day.